What's up, everybody? My name is Justin, and welcome back to another episode of Whiskey Tears. On today's episode, I've got an interesting bottle for you. Today, I've got the new Riff Winter Whiskey. Alright, so I honestly didn't even know they were coming out with this thing. New Riff for me, I've liked some of the single barrel picks that I've had from ADHD that I ordered from there, but then I had a couple other, I think it was, I forget, the single malt or something, which I absolutely hated. That was from New Riff. So when I saw this one sitting on the shelf near me for $55, and it says that it's a Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey made with malted oat and chocolate malt, bottled in bond, featuring malted oats and roasted chocolate malted barley. This unique whiskey was inspired by our brewing background. I had to try it. And if we look at the back of this thing, it's going to tell us that we considered putting oats in a bourbon. Our minds went to the chocolate oatmeal stout we enjoyed in our brewing careers. The result is winter whiskey, a bourbon with the unique spice of raw and malted oats, backed by roasted cocoa notes of chocolate malt, with a very unique mash bill of 65% corn, 20% malted oats, 7% pale ale malt, 5% steel cut raw oats, and 3% chocolate malt, aged at least 4 years. And that may be one of the most unique mash bills I've ever seen on a whiskey before. So is this truly going to be a winter whiskey? The bottle looks nice. I like it. It looks kind of almost more New Year-ish on the labeling here, but I'm excited to try it. So let's pop the top, get the nosing straight out of the bottle. Wow, that smells exactly like a beer stout out of the bottle. That is unreal. That's exactly like a chocolate stout out of the bottle on a bottled in bond bourbon. This makes absolutely no sense in my brain right now. We're going to have to break this thing down and get into the nosing and the tasting coming out of the glass. If it tastes like that, this might be maybe the most unique whiskey I've ever tried. Kind of up that alley. It is not super light, not super dark in the glass, at least 4 years old, so it's probably like 4 years and 6 months, something weird along those lines. It's 100 proof, it is bottled in bond, and we're going to get the nosing straight out of the glass, but before we do me one big favor, hit like, hit subscribe, hit follow if you're watching on Rumble. I would really appreciate it. Alright, nosing out of the glass. That is super chocolatey. It's definitely got those stout notes on it, like that oatmeal stout. A little bit of spice on there, but it's not like your normal, it's not like your rye spice or anything that you would normally get. It's almost like a tahini spice that you would like smell on the edge of like a margarita or something, like that kind of spice notes to it. But chocolatey, stouty, oatmeal, spicy. It smells so interesting. I'm really intrigued by this. I don't know if it's going to be good or bad. The one review from my friends over at Wilderness and Whiskey that I've seen, go check them out on YouTube if you haven't already. They really seem to enjoy it, so I'm hoping it lives up to what they were getting out of it on my bottle. We're going to find out right now. Cheers, everybody. Wow. That is so interesting. That is so interesting. It is, wow, I'm having a hard time describing this because in my mind, I know that I'm drinking a bourbon, but it does not feel or smell like I'm drinking a bourbon after one sip. So I'm going to have to reset now that I've experienced it once and kind of go in here a second time. Man, it's like a, you know what, I think it's like a, what is it? A chocolate-covered coffee bean is what it tastes like to me. Like a chocolate-covered coffee bean, but like maybe slightly more on the chocolate than coffee side. It's like got a hint of that coffee note in there. Maybe that's coming from the oats or the oatmeal kind of flavors in there, where I'm getting that coffee note, but it's like a chocolate-covered coffee bean. It's got some like milky vanilla notes too, like kind of like a stout would. It's kind of got those milky vanilla notes behind that chocolatiness, so it's really, it feels like I'm drinking, have you ever had those like from like the convenience store They make those Starbucks like pre-made drinks in the glass, and you can get like the chocolate mocha Starbucks drink in a glass. That's almost what this tastes like. It tastes like a chocolate mocha Starbucks drink, but it's 100 proof. So that's so strange. Oh my gosh. What, I need to break this down more. It's got a hint of spice on the palate, but not nearly as much on the nose. I'd say it's almost a little bit more peppery of a spice on the palate than on the nose. Was more like that tahini. It's got like a little bit of a cracked black pepper spice to it in the background behind everything, which I think kind of helps round it out, because all the other flavors besides the coffee notes are like very, muted and kind of that base flavors to it. It doesn't have a lot of the acidity or anything like that. It doesn't have any fruit flavors going on, but it's got a ton of that stouty, milky, chocolatey, cocoa-y with a little bit of cracked black pepper thrown in there too. You know what I think? You could put this into like a hot chocolate and make an absolute banging Christmas cocktail if you just put this alone into some hot chocolate, maybe threw a cinnamon sticker or a clove piece in there or something, and that would make an absolutely awesome Christmas drink. The question that I have is what I think about it like overall as a whiskey on the tier system. And if you are new here, the tier list will pop up right here. This is how I rate everything here on the channel, and it's kind of like each level has its own variance within, so it can be like low B, high A, somewhere in there. And it's all subjective. These are my personal opinions, but if you want to see more of them, make sure you hit that like and subscribe. So the question is, where do I want to put this? It's so unique. It's hard. It's like you can't compare it to a normal bourbon because it is not in that line, up that alley whatsoever, but it's just so unique. I think my main issue with it is I would definitely have to be like in the mood to have this particular flavor profile. Like I'm the same way with beers and stouts. Like I don't drink stouts that often, but I have to be in the mood for them when I have one. But when I do, and I'm in the mood for one, it's really, really good. So yeah, it's definitely one that I'd have to be in the mood for, but it is good. It is definitely lacking in some areas. It's got almost no viscosity. It's quite light. It doesn't have any of your classic bourbon flavors, but it's not supposed to. So I think on the tier system today, let me do one last sip and then we'll rate it. Man, that's so unique. That is so unique. I think I'm going to put it solid B tier. I'd have a hard time putting it A or S or anything. Definitely not S, but I'd have a hard time, I think, moving it into the A tier when it's something that I wouldn't be in the mood to drink all the time. But what it does extremely well, and especially for $55 is what I got this bottle for. 55 bucks, especially if you were having a Christmas party or a holiday party or something. I think this would be an absolute banger to either serve by itself or serve in some kind of holiday cocktail. So it's going on the B tier for me today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you for your next drink.